Welcome to Matt Plays, the first official video. And we got a fun one today. We're doing the Scorpion. And probably a little more, but that Scorpion's, yeah, not that hard of a fight, but it definitely killed me at least once. And then I defeated it, but then I didn't save after that, so. So you're listening to a targeted individual. I'm sure a decent amount of you know that. I don't know how many of you do, but actually it seems like the ones who wouldn't know that might be the ones like me who need to hear it and who might be targeted themselves. So, yeah. That is like the most, that's like the most terrifying fucking thing that any video game has ever said. Good on them. The door to safety is shut. That's crazy. Okay, is this the real leather jacket? Tell me it is. So apparently leather jackets are helpful, or leather can be helpful in stopping electromagnetic like attacks or whatever. And that's what they hit you with. Special leather cleaning. Yep, this is it. Leather can be helpful in stopping electromagnetic attacks and whatever they hit you with. So, I do feel better putting this on. You may say it's psychosomatic. I'll take feeling better anyway, but I also was kind of cold. Okay, let's go. Now, it also may be like a specifically satanic thing. The fact that these occultists, specifically, like, I don't know if they'd be so interested in their symbolism that they would go through all the work of, like, having a big Baal statue, like, or Baal thing burned in Iran recently or whatever. I saw some Substack posts. I'm sure it was half manipulation, etc. But as Mark Passio says, he says, well, just because you don't believe in it doesn't mean they're believing in it wouldn't affect you. And I think it might be true. I think it might be that they are specifically believing in the older anti-Christian gods. And I think it might actually be Jesus. Might actually be Jesus is the one, you know, is the one God, and is going to come and like take it all away. Now here's the thing, you look at Alan Watt and he talks about, you know, he talks about like a lot of stuff that you've probably heard elsewhere, but I'm not totally sure. I'm not totally sure about that, because I've gotten a decent amount of confirmation in my own life that Jesus might be the way, but at the same time, it does seem a little unfair to be thrown into this world and then be given some kind of like, essentially some kind of like test to come to the right, basically to come to the right idea about who is the person who can get you out of here, and otherwise you're damned. That does seem, leaving aside all the possible things of like, well, that doesn't mean it's not true, etc. Which is perhaps valid. That does seem sort of unfair, and it seems like, yeah, that seems kind of unfair. However, on the opposite side, Eckhart Tolle, once he was talking about Jesus, and he had a slip, he had a Freudian slip, and he said God said this. Like, I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure exactly which video it was or whatever, but he said he was sharing a Jesus quote, and he said God said this. Now, Eckhart Tolle doesn't seem like a Christian guy. He quoted Zbigniew Brzezinski, as I've talked about, in The Power of Now. And it was like 4 fucking references. Well, he didn't quote him. He referenced his book, which is even worse, actually. It's like 4 references, and one of them is Zbigniew, or maybe 2 references. Yeah, okay, that's strange. But if even he is saying God, for Jesus, and then everything in society is like the anti-God stuff. Everything from baller, like, oh, I'm a baller, oh, like ball, like ball, like etc. Basically, it seems like everything that is in the society is distinctly and overtly satanic, and it's distinctly and overtly anti-Jesus. And even the Jesus stuff, like the Buddy Christ and whatever you get in your fucking View Askew stuff. By the way, View Askew, that's interesting. The Kevin Smith stuff. Even the Jesus imagery you get is like totally a bastardization of Jesus. It's making Jesus seem like some kind of funny guy or something, or making Jesus seem like he just loves everybody and he forgives everybody. He may love everybody and he may forgive everybody, but he was just about the sternest motherfucker, the sternest voice in favor of strict morals and stuff that you're ever going to hear. Like, I've said this before, but tell me the person who has a wide audience and they insult their audience. Jesus called his followers evil. He called a woman a dog. Jesus was very, very stern. And so, if you have the zero morality, and the anti-Christian themes and imagery of the general culture, such as like all the rap shit and all the hidden messages and all the basically like, oh yeah, again, I say baller, but I think that's a really good example. Like somebody who is a follower of Baal, or bailing out, you bail out of something, as Mark Passio says, you pay your bills. It's $1 bill, Baal bill. It's all the, apparently it's all sort of referring to that honorific. Apparently even Baal is like an honorific. There may be a regular one, but like Beelzebub is supposedly like basically it's Baalzebub. Like that's all. And I don't even want to say it too many times because it's probably going to summon, I don't even want to say that. But in any case, it seems to me like if there's anything that the culture is showing you, it's that Jesus is the way. Now, it may just be reverse psychology, and I'm not saying that most people who purport themselves to be Christians are any different from the regular people in society, because I've met, I think, probably almost every Christian, every so-called Christian I've ever met, almost everyone, not everyone, but almost every so-called Christian I've ever met was basically no different from any other person in society. They go to a church, they pretend to worship, but that's the thing, they pretend. You could talk to them about Jesus, and you say like, tell me where Jesus said not to make promises. They probably couldn't tell you that. It's the Sermon on the Mount. It's the big one. They probably couldn't fucking tell you that. So yeah, we'll get into the gameplay probably, but basically I've been terrorized for like years by these. I didn't even realize it until recently. Like, I was sort of suspecting it maybe a little bit, but I don't even know if I was really suspecting anything until like the last year or so. But now it's become abundantly clear. I've been terrorized by gang stalkers. And I talked to somebody on Substack, and she said, well, it can be like whole fucking communities. Like, she said I think she said it's literally a show that these elites watch. And so I've been terrorized by these people. I had terrifying experiences at work last night where, like, basically I'd be saying something like recording an audio, or like, you know, even just talking out loud in my car, like on the way there, sort of maybe kind of going over like what I might say to the boss, like talking about how I'd been treated previously in this same job. And like, it seemed like basically every fucking time I came back, they would say something that specifically like mentioned something I said. For example, I was listening to a Pseudonym at the Tape. I didn't even say this, but I was listening to a Pseudonym at the Tape in my car, and they're talking about emotions, and they got to the emotion of lust. And then when I came back and they were sending me out another pizza delivery, It said, it said, that's funny, that might be Freudian. The guy there who had been fucking with me the most said, Matt's got lust. And then he said, oh, Matt's got blah, blah, blah. And it's like, all right, why would he ever say Matt's got lust? And specifically, after I was listening to that in my car. I think these people are actually here. We're actually hearing. They might be listening to me right now, but I think these people were actually hearing and listening to what I was listening to and or saying in my car, and then basically like kind of jokingly throwing it back to me when I went back to the fucking place. And so I was actually scared. On the way back with my last delivery, I went to this like abandoned fucking place, and I thought somebody was gonna come out and fucking kill me. It's funny too, because the guy before I left on that, one of the guys in there, the lesser harasser, but he seemed to be like giving me those kind of messages too. He said something. He was playing this game with like saying different songs to play on the Amazon Spy speaker, and he said like play Wreck 'Em Up, and then so and I'm like, oh my god, because I'm sort of listening now to see like, so what are they saying, like exactly what are they, and one of them was like, oh, he said give me one more, they said play Give Me One More Chance, and then one of them by Biggie. They kept playing like these bullshit like noob songs by Biggie. Yeah, give me a N-words. I'm not saying that as like I want that, but I'm saying if you want a good song by Biggie, play N-words Bleed. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You're gonna play Juicy and like all the other shit? You guys are noobs. But anyway, and even N-Words Bleed is kind of a sort of a second-tier noob song, I think, probably. And Biggie only has 2 albums. But they said, like, oh, like, I hate that song. Like, give me one more chance. I think in the song, I don't know. In any case, like, it's like, so I was standing there, and I was like, oh, okay. So this is my like, last chance to be, like, to get a job and to, like, move out on my own, right? It's like, well, I'm not going to fucking do it with this job. But the people, in any case, the guy says, play Wreck 'Em Up. And I'm thinking, like, oh my god, like, are they gonna fucking bash my car? Or am I gonna be hit by a fucking car and on the road? Like, what's gonna fucking happen? And so I go out on my final delivery, and I sent a text to the boss quitting before I left. I was like, I'm gonna go out on one more delivery, I'm gonna come back and be asked to be cashed out. And I go out on my final delivery, and I go to this fucking, the GPS takes me to this fucking dark, abandoned fucking building. It turns out to be the building, like, you know, 150 feet away or something. It had the same address with like an A or a B. Rhode Island has the worst roads, ironically, the worst like road system, like just terrible. Like it's just awful. But anyway, the guy, I finally like went to the right place, and like a guy came out and like he like smiled, and like I gave him his food and stuff, and it turned out he gave me a 1-cent tip, and I laughed. I was like, well, I didn't see that until I like basically until he was already he had already taken his food, but but it was funny because I was like, oh yeah, like I'll be fine with any tip. Like I don't expect a tip because a tip is extra. And so the last delivery I made, maybe the last one I make in my entire life, the last tip I get perhaps was 1 cent, and it's like, yes, thank you. Because if it was nothing, then you could have said, well, he forgot, or it just doesn't really mean much. But if you gave me a 1 cent tip for my last one, that's the perfect one. That was good. I like that. And I don't say that with sarcasm. I actually do like that. Okay, hold on. All right, so we're gonna take out this big scorpion. So yeah, I think Jesus might be the way. If he's not, then he's like, it's an incredible level of reverse psychology because everything in the culture is just overtly satanic, and it's not overtly anti-Muslim, it's not overtly anti-Buddhist, it's not overtly anti-Scientology. Well, it is anti-Scientology as well, but it's not overtly think of a religion. It's not overtly anti-Hindu. No, it is overtly anti-Christian, and it is overtly pro the perceived or the presented enemies of Jesus and God in the Bible. These games are as well, but at the very least, these games have a shitload of truth drops about the Illuminati. Like, these games show you the evil people, and they call it evil, too. It's called evil. They show you all these evil occultists wearing their dark robes and shit. It's full of, like, predictive programming about, like, the disease scares and shit. Oh, fuck. That effing triangle thing, man. It's full of predictive programming about disease scares and stuff. It's the Umbrella Corporation making all the pharmaceuticals, like, that caused the outbreak. Like, I don't know if these games have, like, good people behind them, but at least they're telling you, like, a lot of shit right in your face, so it's interesting, at least. Oh man, I gotta learn these effing controls. That's okay. Anyway, yeah, I quit that job. I quit it last night. I came back from that delivery, and, like, interestingly, they already had a guy parked up front, and I thought it was, like, a customer or something. I thought, say, another customer. That's Freudian. But in any case, I don't even know exactly what that means, but I thought, it might be because I pulled in front of the store rather than on the side, because I was like, all right, I'm going in, I'm getting cashed out, and I'm leaving. I'm going to pull up like a customer. But there was a guy parked there, and I saw him get out of the car, and I thought he was just a customer. And then one of the guys who was kind of harassing me, or seemed to have been, doing, like, whistling and stuff, which is a well-known... here's the thing. It's a well-known trigger of mine, or it's been one. I'm working on letting go of it so that nobody can fuck with me with it anymore. But one of the guys inside came out and he's like, "Oh, we got our driver or something." And so basically, like, I think this guy was gonna probably take over the rest of the shift or something for me. Maybe not, I don't know. But then he started talking to him. It basically seemed like that guy had worked there or something, and he was gonna, like, they knew that I was not gonna be delivering for the rest of the night. It was only like an hour or two left. Anyway, I walked back in, and the guy actually put on a pretty good presentation. Like, the guy who was, like, fucking with me and, like, throwing shit back at me, I told the Richard Bandler story, or Richard Bandler thing of, like, how you can tell a story and say, well, somebody came up to me and said, fuck you, and you can basically say fuck you to somebody. And I told that in, like, an audio recording in my car. I come back, and this guy who's been hitting me with the whistling as well, like, he hits me with some whistling, and then he says, how you doing? Like, it's like, this guy, before I go out on my next delivery, he says, play "Fuck You" by Blur to the Alexa thing, and it's like, all right, just after I said that, oh wow, that's good timing. That's about as good of timing as everything else that you've said to me. Damn it. We're done. We're fucked. At least we can walk back here. Okay. And I mean everything, like, the sex stuff, like, just everything goes against the 10 Commandments. Oh, by the way, Biggie, 10 Crack Commandments, that was one of the noob songs the guy played. It's like, just about everything goes against, like, all the commandments, everything. And so, yeah, the 10 Crack Commandments by Biggie, it's like, oh yeah, what a fucking mockery. How about that? Oh my god, yeah. It's, it really does seem, like, sort of obvious. It's so obvious that, again, it seems sort of like reverse psychology, because otherwise it's just like a totally, like, it's not even pretending not to be. It's a totally satanic and anti-Christian and anti the God of the Christian God presentation that you get everywhere. And then, of course, not to mention all the specifically anti-Jesus stuff, such as like piss Christ, where somebody just, they called it art, somebody pissed in something and then put a crucifix in. Like, it's like, this is horrific stuff. Like, this shows you where the society is. And so perhaps Jesus is going to come back, and this is the time where like all the demons were spread out on the world, or let out. Perhaps Jesus is going to come back, and he's gonna like destroy everything. That may sound funny to you, but it doesn't really feel funny after you've been through all that I've been through, or like after you see how bad things are. It's like it starts to feel like sinners in the hands of an angry God, where it's like, if you guys are being so brutal and so horrible to like just in general, but also to like people who are trying to be good, if you guys are just like for example, if someone seems to like have some kind of pain response to whistling, and you guys just like hit him with that everywhere he goes, and it seems like everybody knows that, and it's just like improbable, and like, and other signals as well, but you just keep hitting him and trying to cause as much fucking pain as possible. It's like, you start to think, well, you know what, maybe Jesus coming back with a huge sword and like destroying everything is actually like, not only is it like possibly what's going to happen, but perhaps it's possibly like what is righteous and just to happen, because everybody has been actually like they've been demons from hell. So, and then of course he says, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And I think the thing is, they do know not what they do, but at the same time, it's like, if you've been through enough horrible torture and abuse, then without becoming the monster yourself, like Nietzsche talks about, it seems like there is some sense of like, well, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for some kind of like horrible thunderous apocalypse. This is crazy. We take him out. Pretty good boss. By the way, check out like that potted plant in the corner and stuff. This game, I think, has basically the best graphics of all time. Look at the way those things are moving in the wind. Hear the sound, see the light and everything. This game has the best graphics of all time.